Well, I'm Garrett. I'm an algae scientist. I've been trying to help out as much as I can with everything. We're in here, TNT Bait and Tackle, talking to some of the old cottonmouths around here. Wanting to get a little bit more of your guys' viewpoint. As we were talking earlier with Peter, you were getting ready to tell me what you've seen as far as the changes going along.
Well, there's a lot more people here, you know, and that really
Speak up, Pete.
it affects everything. You know, water quality, traffic, building. You know, so the more, you know, there's more impact on the land, you know, and the water too. You know, it's not really no way around it. You get more people, you get more impact.
I
You
agree.
get more everything.
How long did you say you've been fishing here, sir?
37 years.
37 years. So you've had a lot of time on the water to see, to know these kind of impacts, let's say. Not as many houses, not as many urbanization then.
It was nice when I first got here.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah. Tom, what do you think on it?
Tim.
Or Tom, Tim.
That's all right.
We'll call you Tip Tom, man. That's your new nickname.
Or Crab Man, that'll work. Grant, I don't want to put you under the gun, but I do have a question that, and at this point, I think all you can give me is your expert opinion, but I'm just dying to ask it. Do you think that the green-blue algae crisis, I guess I will say, is having an effect on the fish kill?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm scared you were going to tell me that.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. A lot of the confusion is coming because there are two different types of algae blooms. You know, we have the blue-green cyanobacteria freshwater algae bloom, and then we have the red tide as well, saltwater algae bloom. Now, they're two very different things, and in the past we have never scientifically linked red tide, the saltwater algae bloom, to mankind because it's natural. However, we are finding now that we're actually feeding the red tide as well. So, our
Can I stop you?
Yeah, go
So
right
you,
ahead, bud.
You just said, quote, we're feeding the red tide.
Yes, sir.
So in the way I undertake that from you is that you're telling me that the green-blue algae toxic is feeding the red tide
Yes,
toxin?
sir. Yes, sir.
I'm glad to hear that because that's what I have been
Yes, sir.
presuming. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I keep up with your work very
Thank you.
much.
Thank
I
you,
do.
sir. Appreciate
I
that.
really appreciate your work
Thank you,
also.
sir.
Another question is, I seen last night on the event that you were at, whatever that was, the Captains for Clean Water, was it? I heard one of the scientists make a comment that I have made this comment. The question I have for you, do we know as of today what red tide is actually, what it is, and where it comes from?
It's a natural occurrence, you know, and where it comes from in the Florida area, you know, we've tracked this to be, you know, it starts to be about 40 miles off into the Gulf. It's a natural thing, just like the cyanobacteria is a natural thing. But when we're doing unnatural things like Miracle Grow, we're growing these things, we're growing these critters. Just like when we add bread or water to bread and we seal it back up after we mist it, we're growing the mold, right?
Right,
You know, it's
yeah,
not,
okay, I
you
follow.
would want to dry it out.
Yeah.
That would be how you get rid of that, is to dry it out or throw it away.
Right.
The last thing you would want to do to preserve your bread is to mist it down with some water, because that's its food source.
At one point I heard on the video that I was watching that one of the scientists said that what I was told as a boy, that the government after World War II or something took a bunch of barrels and dumped it into the Gulf of Mexico, something to that nature. So that's all a myth then, am I correct?
Nothing to my knowledge it makes that a fact.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that smoke doesn't come from some sort of a fire.
Right. Well, if it's a natural occurrence, with you being a scientist on this situation, then, and they skipped back, one of the scientists said that he didn't believe that it was, or he wouldn't commit to saying, yeah, it starts 40 miles in the Gulf. All right. In other words, that part of just what I got from you, that let's say we had a little flash of red tide, and then we start dumping this toxic water, that feeds it, and once you feed anything, it grows.
Exactly.
Correct?
It's hard to say anything with concrete evidence because
Right.
there's just such a lack of studies.
Yes.
There's not very many algae scientists in the world.
Right.
And we haven't had that dedicated of a study. As far as we have, there are facilities that do a lot of dedicated research. However, it's still not very understood, especially this year and the last year.
Okay.
Where this red tide has been a problem since last October. In the past, from what I've heard, like gentlemen like you tell me that they last 3 to 4 days, sometimes a month when they're really bad in the past. Is that true?
Yeah,
Yes.
but I've always heard too that it develops pretty much offshore, blooms offshore, and then it gets floated.
And by current, this, that, and the other.
And it's also pretty damn old. I mean, it's been around for a long, long, long time. You know?
Right, okay, but they say, as Grant just said, Pete, that we've had red tide here since October last
Oh,
year.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so do you agree with that, Peter?
Well, there was a bloom last fall.
Last fall,
Right.
which last fall, is, now that we're to that point, is the first time you and I, Pete, have had the discussion several times about the Myakka River. Last year was the first time you came to me and said, yeah, bro, I seen dead mullet over at the locks. Me and
Right.
you have argued with people about red tide in the river. So that brings up the question to you, sir scientist, all right? Why do we not have affect dead fish, this, that, and the other right here in the Myakka River, but we do? I can't say about the Peace River. I can only say because there's a bait shop there that's still buying bait from me. So I think that her business is the people that are fishing the Peace River are still buying due to the fact that there's not a lot of fish killed. But you go right down to the Caloosahatchee and you have massive green blue allergy, fish killed that I'm assuming, and now you're backing up my assumption by telling me that, yes, Tim, when I get all my facts together, then I'll be able to prove that this green blue algae is killing fish, mammals, affecting humans, birds, every walk of life.
So the
I-
question,
The question is, once again, which you've already answered it to me, your theory of why we don't have red tide right here in the Myakka River. All right.
definitely think that it would be more than just one simple answer on that. As far as we would have to take pH into consideration, cation exchange capacity into consideration. We'd have to consider the tides. We'd have to consider elevation. We'd have to consider our water currents, you know, as far as how the red tide works and where it's being pushed, and our wind, everything could tie into that. There hasn't been enough years that consistently tell me, well, this river has never had a problem and thus never will be. If there is enough data over time that tells me that,
Right.
there's something magic in the water that I'd love to study about.
Yeah,
It's just like unicorns. But
It's been up here before, but
Uh-huh.
not in real
Yeah.
concentrations like down on the beach.
Mhm.
Like,
How many times have you seen fish kill in the river in your 37 years that you've been fishing this river?
not
And you,
very often, but some of those kills were not red tide. They were probably the oxygen was taken out of the water by probably spraying the weeds, like you were saying, the
the runoff, in other words.
cattails and water hyacinth and all that kind of stuff. They come in here and they're not really here, but I know that one year over at the locks, they sprayed for weeds in there. Well, about 3 days later, they must have taken all the oxygen out of the water, because about 3 days later, it was just massive fish kill in there. You know, they just killed everything.
So what you're saying, Pete, man did
Put that
that.
on Facebook Live
Right.
where I won't be able to load